What up, world? It's your man Cross, aka Mr. Dean, and you're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio, Channel 140. Hey, listen, the Man Up Club is a mentor leadership organization for young black males between the ages of 13 and 24, where we teach life skills, social skills, academic discipline, civic responsibility. Just opened our new facility. We're getting ready to celebrate our 1-year anniversary in downtown Minneapolis. Now, listen, you guys know that I've been blessed to be a Grammy-nominated artist, and there's a lot going on in regards to what we do with the Man Up Club. So one of the things that I've done is opened a record label, which is One Way Entertainment, Christian hip hop record label, as well as the Man Up Club, where we mentor the young black boys. We got 3 goals within the Man Up Club, and that is to get the young men to graduate from high school, keep them out of the prison pipeline, get them to go on to college and have a trade after high school. And one of the things that we have in the Man Up Club is a music program where we've partnered my record label along with a nonprofit organization to develop young men and allow them to put out positive and inspirational content. So I am extremely excited about this interview and this session that we're getting ready to do right now. I got 3 of the most prolific artists, I would say, in the state of Minnesota. We got my man, Lewiee Blaze. Say what's up to the people.
Yo, peace and love. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
And then we got Celena, Lena, which is also signed to my record label, who also happens to be my daughter. She's a part of System Little Bro. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, y'all?
And then my man Dijai, who I've been mentoring for several months now, who is one of the newest artists out of all 3, but has been here in St. Paul for several months. And you got to remember, for those of you who are not from Minnesota, when we talk about the Twin Cities, we're talking about 2 cities, which is St. Paul and Minneapolis. Man Up Club is on the Minneapolis side, but DJ is representing the St. Paul side. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
So I want to jump into it, man. This particular segment is really to dig deep with the artists. All you guys are covering a lot of territory when it comes to music and things like that, and then even philanthropy, doing things out in the community. I kind of want to just start with Lewiee Blaze. Lewiee, I want you to introduce yourself, talk about just kind of where you started in music, and then I know you have an organization, and just kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, peace and love. My name is Lewiee Blaze. I'm born and raised from the Twin Cities of Minnesota, born in Minneapolis, spent a lot of years in St. Paul, and I be on both sides of the river all the time. It's an honor to be here. But, yeah, I really was born into music. My father was a blues musician, and he had a band. So, like, in my early toddler years, I was always around for rehearsal. I was there to, see them perform sometimes. I even started off on the drums and playing the piano at a young age. And eventually I got older and I navigated some issues and found myself graduating from the High School for Recording Arts, Studio 4. Shout out to them.
TC.
And, TC, and all them folks over there. So that's when I really started to take hip-hop serious. I've always been a talented writer, a creator. And my poetry eventually turned to rap music. And at Studio 4, I was able to record every day and learn engineering and how to produce and all of these things with music. And after I graduated high school, I was blessed enough to kind of know what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you what I refer to as being like self-contained, because you're a writer, you're producing, you're engineering. You're also on the stage doing your thing, and then you got this legacy that you come from, which is from a musical background with your dad and all of that. And I'll piggyback because I do want you to talk about your organization. But before we go there, I want Celena, Lena, to go ahead and give your background.
Yeah, so when I grew up, I didn't even know that I wanted to be an artist. The first thing that I ever wanted to be was an actress. Still am aspiring and doing some things in the acting world. But I got into it when I was 16. It was just a random thing. But God, he didn't think that it was random because he just put it in me, I was influenced originally from you as my father, being in the music industry for longer than I've been alive, and then how you've mentored my older brother, KJ, into music. I would watch y'all perform, do y'all's thing on stage, and I just thought it was so amazing. And one summer that I was visiting at home, I was just like, Dad, I want to do the same thing that y'all do. And at first it was like, oh, for real? It's like, and so, you told me okay, if you're serious about it, get in the studio, write a rap and perform it. And you saw the potential. So here I am today, doing music, and it's really a huge blessing. And the whole beyond music, the entertainment, the things that I've gotten to touch, even in acting, has really blessed my life. So I'm just grateful.
DJ, talk to us.
What's good, Mr. D? I mean, I didn't grow up with parents in music. My dad was a truck driver. My mom did do poetry. She actually from Philadelphia. She won an award doing some poetry, so I respect the poetry side for sure. But my inspiration really came from the community. I was around a lot of artists. I saw what music was doing for the community and how it was an outlet for a lot of people. I was just talking about it. Lewiee got me by 2 years. I got to see him grind. Like, I got to watch him grow. And he said Studio 4, that's where I went after I got kicked out of school. They invited me in with open arms. Shout out Mick. That was my first time in the studio, just playing around, bro. I used to joke like, I need an engineer. I need to take it serious. I need to do that. And I'm honestly just getting started. This year has been the year where I was like, all right, cool. To Celena point, I kind of just followed my faith. I took a leap. It was like the community work that I do, the stuff that I'm doing, the stuff that people support me in doing, I got to keep it positive. I got to make sure that it overlap with what I'm doing. I don't want to take away from something that I already started building or take away from the stuff that y'all built. So I really do appreciate the platform. That's one of the things that I push, for sure.
So, Lewiee, tell us about like the kind of music that you do. Is, first of all, number one, is there a certain lane? Is there multiple lanes that you run? In regards to your music, what's your mission behind your music?
I would say throughout the years, I've really been, navigating my life and working to find my voice and where I'm most comfortable at. And if I was to pick like one genre that I embody the most, it's hip hop, right? And not this oversaturated hip hop that we dealing with today, where like, in the mainstream they steady pushing messages of instant gratification and fast money and talking about drugs and violence and all those things. But I'm talking about the origin of hip hop, when it was about uplifting the people, when it was about giving voice to the voiceless, when it was about speaking truth to the injustices that Black Americans endure every single day. That's what I'm a part of, and that's what my music represents. That's the sound that is most important to me, and that's just what flows through me. I move off intuition, I move off the spirit, and God has put me here to be somewhat of like a minister, through the music. Right, so my sound is very inspirational. It's some of my story as well, but not just necessarily talking about the trauma and the bad things that I've endured and I went through, but also talking about the other side of that story, that we can overcome from those struggles and we don't have to be victims, but we are victorious and we are great people. So that's what I want people to understand when they hear the music.
Give me three of your top influencers that have influenced you in hip hop.
Ooh, top three that's influenced me.
Yeah.
Personally, for real, Tupac Shakur, 50 Cent, and I'm an OG, man, so I'm gonna have to say KRS-One.
Oh.
I feel like not too many people talk about KRS-One enough, man, but he's one of the pioneers, so I always got to keep him up there.
Absolutely. You talk about KRS-One, that's one of the cats that I grew up on, and it's interesting because the parallel between you and him is the conscious rap, the uplifting of the community, and so he ran that lane. He personified that lane of positively uplifting basically his community and spitting knowledge, to the community, and as well as fighting injustice. So I rocks with that. All right, Celena, tell us about you and the lane that you run in regards to the music and genre and what have you that you do.
I'm a Christian hip hop artist, but also, accept the title of hip hop artist. However people want to categorize it, inspirational hip hop artist. It's all along the same mission and goal, which is to inspire and uplift people. I'm a daughter of God, and I live for the things of God. Like, I want to see us as a culture lift each other up, especially like as women. In regular hip hop music, people calling each other like a whole bunch of names and stuff, degrading women. And it's like we need to get to a point where it's like, oh, okay, like I see you, you're a queen, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I stand for. And I think that day is definitely coming. And what I'm working towards is seeing that day in hip hop and in culture come to a full story, you know, where the majority of the culture is not degrading women, not talking about killing each other, but it's doing the opposite. Like I know that we can see that in this lifetime, and I'm just happy to be a part of the movement that's happening right now.
So what's the 3 top hip hop artists that have influenced you in your career?
A lot of people say this is basic, but it's always number one has been Beyonce, because she is a businesswoman too. Like she's more than just an artist, you know, she calls her shots. And the level of work that she puts towards herself as an artist and her image and her brand is very cut clean. She's serious about what she does. She works extremely hard. So that's one. 2, I would say J. Cole, because I love his content and his depth. It's not like, you know, the trippy reds and stuff out here, what they be talking about. And 3, I'm gonna just have to leave that one blank because I mean, yeah, like I would love to say a female hip hop artist, and of course there's like the Missy Elliott's and things like that, but I don't know. I think it's just a space to be left blank.
Okay, cool.
That space for you.
Hey.
DJ.
Well, that's good, Mr. D. Can I get that question again? Can we run that back?
Well, the question I asked was about the 3 hip hop artists, but I want to know more about the lane you run, the genre you run, the music, the kind of music that you do, and what your focus is. What's the goal with what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm pushing positivity, Mr. D. Same goal. To keep on elevating those stories, and really talking about the things that we go through without emphasizing our faults, without emphasizing our bad, you know, or those drugs, the guns, the negativity that's around us. I really want to emphasize the positive, the potential, the resources, the stuff that we can do. I don't want to talk about a lot of the trauma as much, just because it's already there. If you want to find something negative, it's easy to find, you know, especially when it comes to hip hop, especially when it comes to music. So my lane has been that, where it's just simply helping people understand that they don't have to emphasize that in their music. It's not bad to talk about. Your story is your story, but that's where we at.
All right, cool. Give me your top 3 influences from hip hop that have influenced you.
Cross, Corey Dean, Lewiee Blaze, and Celena Lena. We gonna leave it there.
I appreciate that.
That's love.
Yo, you know what it is. It's your man, Mr. Dean, a.k.a. Crossing. Listen to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. Hey, listen, Man Up Club is a mentor leadership organization for young black males between the ages of 13 and 24. If you want to learn more about our organization, go to themanupclub.org or follow us at themanupclub.mn on IG. I got several artists that are in the building right now. Some of Minnesota's finest, and my man Lewiee Blaze, Celena Lena, and my man Dijai. Got an affiliation with all of these guys as a pioneer of Christian hip hop myself. Go back in the day with Lewiee Blaze when you was a young man and doing a lot of different things. You always been out in the community grinding, always been a positive force, making the right decisions, being socially conscious, and what have you. And so just being able to observe you over the years, man, I commend you on the things that you've been doing and what have you, because a lot of times a lot of rappers get out here, man, and they'll just try to do something positive for a minute or for a moment or for a season, and then they fade off. And the reason they fade off, especially in hip hop, is because the money wasn't right. Mm-hmm. The bag wasn't right. You feel me? And so they try to find a way to get on to the movement, assuming that they're going to do something different, but when the ultimate intention is really just getting to the bag. And then when they see how hard it is to really get to the bag, and then they just kind of fall off and kind of go back to doing, whatever it is that they was doing.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate, your longevity and what you've been doing. And in regards to you, Celena, I just appreciate you being able to do something different in the genre. I'm kind of feeling some kind of way though that you didn't fill in that third blank, or your influence is considered. I done poured almost $1 million into your talent, but it's okay. It's all right. No worries.
Ooh.
No worries. It's cool. I'm gonna give my receipts later. I'm gonna get my receipts later.
I'll take that million.
And I'm gonna give that million to DJ because DJ, I appreciate you shouting your boy out.
Let's go. I'll take that meal ticket.
But it's all good. It's all good. But I do appreciate the way in which you personify yourself in regards to uplifting of young people and women, especially women, because our women got it hard in hip hop.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give you all a quick history lesson when it comes to hip hop. So the thing is, women had such a struggle in hip hop because they was just underutilized, underrecognized, and they was just kind of shunned for no reason, not because of how dope they were or what have you. It was just simply because they were women. You feel me? You talk about your Queen Latifahs, your MC Lights, the Boss, and the list can go on and on. Yeah. Like, these women fought extremely hard for acceptance. They fought extremely hard to have a voice in hip hop. And they wasn't all over the place, and they wasn't sexualizing themselves. You know what I'm saying? They was like, yo, give me my appreciation based on the merit of my skills. And so they was really trying to like demonstrate their skills through hip hop music and their pen game and the whole nine. And it's unfortunate because although hip hop is where it's at now and is very misogynistic, a lot of things that I'm seeing in hip hop when it comes to the women is like there's no self-respect, and they almost need to develop a new genre of hip hop called porn hip hop, because that's typically what we see now when it comes to females in hip hop, and that's basically to some degree what it is. And if we were to get technical about it, it would basically be soft porn. Yeah. You feel me? And that's unfortunate because I really don't think that a lot of the female artists who are striving for that, I don't even think they know their history and where hip hop came from as far as from a female perspective. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm saying that I commend you in regards to the lane that you're running and what have you. And when we talk about Christian hip hop, ultimately the goal for Christian hip hop and anything with Christian is just to fulfill the gospel of Jesus Christ. Ultimately, it's to get people saved. And so one of the things that I want to push out to you guys who are doing Christian hip hop is don't be afraid to say that your ultimate goal is to get people saved, because if that's not the ultimate goal, then you should be doing something different. Because it's one thing to make people feel good. It's one thing to come alongside the road as a good Samaritan and help somebody who's struggling, but it's another thing to get people's lives saved. And that's a fundamental difference. So I want to commend you in that regard. In regards to you, DJ, I think that what you're doing is super dope because I've observed your walk, just being out in the streets and on the block, and you know all the struggles and hardships that you've had, and the way that you've been able to pivot. So your strength, from my observation, and I can speak about this because I've been mentoring you, but your ability to pivot is what's important. A lot of people don't really pivot, especially when they're coming out of situations that are negative and going into situations that are positive. They basically do it more on a curve. And then that curve is so broad that it takes forever to the point where you can't even see a lot of the transition. But to pivot is to go one way and then to immediately shift and go another way. And so I commend you on basically being able for people to be able to see that shift. I remember specifically one of your shifts came when you done a Christian hip hop event at our club, and your whole goal was to go out and drink and get drunk that night after the show. And then when they gave you your bottle of liquor, you actually got convicted and came outside and just poured the whole bottle out on social media, and then that thing started going viral. That's huge, and that's what people are looking for.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was inspired by that as well.
Yeah, you feel me? Mm-hmm. Having said all of that, but you guys are doing more than music. You know what I'm saying? You're not just artists. You know, you're leaders in the community. So I want you to talk about that. I want you, Lewiee Blaze, I want you to talk about, you know, what you're doing with your organization, the people you've partnered with. Celena, I want you to talk about the organization that you're leading in the community. And DJ, I want you to talk about the organization that you're leading in community.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was actually around the time when we first met. I remember, I think I met you at like the Target Center. It was like for a community event or something like that. And you was with the man, Troy Hudson, who used to play for the Timberwolves and
It
everything.
was at Rondo days about, I don't know, about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but just being in spaces like that, you know, me and my brothers were super inspired by pioneers like yourself. You know, seeing you make a positive impact on the community, and me and my bros, like, you know, our biggest thing was like we didn't want to become another statistic as Black men in America. So we created what is called N4, and it stands for New Mindsets, New Media, New Leadership, and New Narrative. And it's all about changing the narrative of African American males, but not for the point to where we're pointing the finger and we blaming other people for stereotyping us, but it's more about holding up a mirror and looking at ourselves and holding ourselves accountable and our peers accountable to raise the level of excellence and standards. So yeah, N4 is our organization. We partnered with a nonprofit on the North Side, and back in 2020, after the civil unrest, we created a racial justice and healing initiative called We Will Breathe, right? Where it was our opportunity to take that narrative of I can't breathe and change that. And because we're big on words, words have energy, right? And we manifest our reality through what we put out into the world. So instead of saying I can't breathe, we wanted to change the narrative to we will breathe. So we work with young adults that's navigating trauma, navigating, you know, hardships, and we create a space for them to just explore their talents, explore their creativity, and heal, you know, from their experiences that they got going on. And it's all rooted in a book that I wrote. I'm also a published author. Me and my goddad wrote a book. It's a self-help book. And yeah, we finishing up our 5th cohort right now. It's been very, very dope. We graduated close to 100 youth over the past few years. And what I love most about it is that we all got a strong connection. Like, it's a family. You know, so yeah, that's some of the work that we're doing right now. Shout out to the We Will Breathe family. Shout out to the Link and everybody that's been able to support the community work we've done over the years.
Dope. I love it. Go ahead, Lena.
Yeah, so I'm also the youth and program director of the Man Up Club. It's a blessing to be able to work towards the main goal of, you know, allowing young Black men to pour into and self-develop. To be able to work under you is really a blessing, because not a lot of Black people can say that, you know, their father has an organization that will last past his lifetime, past my lifetime, for generations. So the fact that I can work towards generational wealth is a blessing, and not have to work a 9 to 5, but I'm doing something that I love to do. You know, I in a way, even though that I'm a staff member over these guys, you know, the way that I see them is like young brothers. Like, they could be my brothers, you know? So it's like interacting with them every day, being able to be there it comes from a heart place. So for me, that's how it's growing me. And I love that I'm not only utilizing my skills as an artist, but it's really me as a businesswoman networking and things like that. So it's really dope.
That's what's up. All right, DJ.
Yeah. So I'm the founding CEO of World Youth Connect, which is a youth-led nonprofit out of St. Paul. We actually just made year 3. Year 1, we were able to do a lot of work, putting over $500,000 into the hands of young people. We work with about 100 young people doing workforce development, social engagement, community organizing. They do food packaging every week. They meet about 4 times a week. There's about 70 young people now on a weekly basis. So yesterday they met and talked about ideas in the community, talking about youth mental health, and the uniqueness is it's youth led. So I'm 25. As the CEO, I'm actually one of the oldest there. So I get to be the dad of the organization, Mr. D. I get to tell people that they could do better. And like I said, I focus on not race. I wasn't really focused on religion at first. It wasn't one of those things that came up through young people. You know, they struggle with identity themselves. So while I was struggling with my identity, that wasn't one of the things that we focused on and locked in on at first. What we just transitioned to, we actually work out of the church. So we're at First Baptist over there right by downtown St. Paul. So like I said, they're doing all of the amazing work. I got to go to Atlanta with Lewiee. Shout out our partners over there in Ramsey.
Yeah,
that was crazy. That was crazy. Being able to be in those spaces, talk to mayors. I'm doing a lot of work and advocating for those young people. And to your point, Lewiee, we not pointing the finger at nobody. We not blaming nobody for our trauma. We not trying to pass or shift that responsibility on other people. We take on the responsibility as young people to change the community. So that's what we pushing.
So, you know, there's a long road to being an artist. There's different levels to being an artist. It's like, you know, being a new artist or being an established artist or being basically a professional artist. And then there's that next level where you're a celebrity, and then the next level where you're a superstar. You know, when we come back, I really want to get into that of what it takes to really be an artist from you guys' perspective, because all of you guys have put in, you know, the hard work to establish yourselves as artists. You put in the time to master your craft. You've had some doors that have opened. You've been on, you know, some platforms and what have you. And it's a lot of artists that are out there that want to be, you know, take things to the next level. But I really want to talk with you guys and have you guys explain truly what it takes, like, to get to the next level. Like, no sugarcoating. Like, what's really required to take your artistry to the next level in comparison to real life. It's your man, Mr. Dean. We'll be right back. Yo, you listen to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. You can catch us every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central and 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Channel 140. Just turn to your dial on Sirius XM Radio. You can hear us all across the country on Holy Culture Radio. Hey, listen, I'm telling you earlier, I got some dope artists in here with me. I call them Minnesota's finest. They've been on the grind. We talked about, you know, the music and the message, or what have you. But now I want to get into what it takes to really be an artist. And I'm telling you right now, these guys can really tell you, you know, what's required, some of the ups and downs in regards to it. So basically, guys, I really want to dive into the discipline that it takes, and even some of the hardships or the development. That's one of the things that labels don't do no more that they used to do. They used to do artist development. Like, there was a bag that was set aside for record labels just to develop artists, to get them ready to hit the stage, just to get them ready to hit the studio, or just to get them ready to do interviews and all that sort of thing now. But when you fast forward to today and what's required of the artists, they don't spend time anymore investing money and dollars into artist development. You got to kind of come to the table ready to go. So just kind of talk us through some of the things that you guys went through to become an artist and to get where you at. We'll start with you, Celena.
I just want to say that you've been my coach in this. So I just want to give you your flowers and say, you know, thank you for demonstrating. Can you guys still hear me from here? Okay. Yeah, thank you for demonstrating what it takes to be a real artist. Like I said before, I never stepped into this world, so I had to be taken from ground zero to where I'm at now. And so that includes everything from keeping your mind right, you know, just past the artistry. Like, you have to know who you are first, because how can you build an artistry off of not knowing who you are? Because you as an artist, you're the brand. And it's like, if you can't describe what the brand is, what the product is, how you gonna put yourself out, your image, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, I know that I'm not gonna be representing myself out here like I'm a stripper, because that's just not who I am, you know? Like, I just be myself. There's physicalities of it, developing yourself as an artist. If you want to be a serious artist, I mean, for shows, I've had to, you know, run on a treadmill and rap, like, do those type of workouts where it's like, it takes more than just, you know, getting up on stage and just rapping a couple bars. Like, you have to get physically ready, like mentally, spiritually. And if you have a core team around you, which is, you know, my core team has been you as my manager, my brother, shout out Titus Lil Bro, but being on the same page with your core team, that could be your band. Like, being on the same page and making sure that y'all are holding each other accountable, vibing together, you know, settling disagreements. Like, for me, I've had the experience of having family in the business world, and that's been a challenge, but also a blessing. So developing that professionalism is really key. Like, you have to know, hey, if we go into this meeting, this is what page we're on. We're on the same page. That way we never look like we're not united. So it's a lot of different things. Yeah.
Well, you talking about a couple things, and I'm gonna take you a little bit deeper like number one, you talked about business and family, um, and is there a difference? Like, can you go into music like, okay, yo, this is my family and I'm rocking with my family, or we all know that there's a business aspect to it, but how do you approach family versus business? Because there's a lot of successful artists out there who've had to go through that, and I would even submit to you that some of the most successful artists in the world were derived from their families. Think about Michael Jackson. You feel me? You think about Beyonce. You think about Ray J and Brandy. The list goes on and on as far as people who were developed by their families and dads being managers. Well, you call them dadingers. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, dadagers.
You know, but talk about that. Talk about that relationship, because they say it's a thin line between love and hate. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a thin line, but I think there's a thin line between business and family. And I'll say this other piece, and then I'll give it to you. This is not just specific to hip hop music and being an artist. It can be a thin line between love and hate in business and family in any industry that you're doing. Anytime you're working with family on any level, and what is it that makes it business is when you start putting money in it. Talk about that a little bit. Some of the struggles or some of the things to navigate through from that standpoint.
You have to build a certain level of maturity. You have to have a certain level of maturity to recognize where are the lines, okay? I'm gonna just take, for example, like, there's times where you have to put your feelings aside and personal things that you got going on, and then when the cameras is on, you got to do what you got to do. Like, let's just say, for example, that, it's you and your wife, and you have an argument, and then y'all got to have an interview together. It's like, okay, whatever y'all just argued about, because you're about to have this interview, and all the cameras are set up, everybody's ready to go, the interview has to still get done as business. So you literally have to be a professional, put all those things aside, and get the job done. But there's also other times where you have to go back into your household and settle those things out. Another aspect of it is the piece of working with your family as your business partners is very nice. Just knowing that they have your best interests at heart, they're not trying to play you, that's one of the biggest blessings. Like, when I tell people that, yeah, my dad's my manager, because it has its hardships, Lord have mercy. But, but like that, what people just tell me, like, well, that's nice. You ain't got to go find a manager that's like, deceitful. It's like, I don't have to vet through that. It's like, okay, well, my manager's my dad. So it's like, at the end of the day, I know that, the decisions, business moves that you're making is for my own good. Challenges can be challenging. Challenges could be, being on the same page. Like, you may want something for me, but I'm not on that same page. Like, I mean, spiritually, if we're talking being a Christian hip hop artist, it's like, yes, the mission is all the same, but you also have to let people walk their own walk. So wherever they're at, you have to respect where they're at, and at the same time, work towards the common goal of being on a team. So it's a lot of different things.
Yeah, that's cool, and that's very well said. I'm gonna dig it just a little bit more deeper and have you talk about the difference between the artist versus the person, and all you guys can chime in on this if you want to, and there may be even a different perspective, or you all may have the same perspective when it comes to your artistry. Do you separate the artist from the person? Is DJ one person or a brand, or is DJ the person also the artist? Is Celena Lena the artist and Celena and Miguel the person? You feel me? Same way with you, Lewiee. Like, y'all talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't start thinking with that mindset until I read a book by 50 Cent. I think it was like Hustle Smarter or something like that. And he was speaking on the duality of that, right? Like, separating the person from the business and from the brand. And that's really what planted the seed in my mind to start looking at myself like, okay, I'm Lewis in this spaces, but I'm Lewiee Blaze in these spaces, right? I just think it could be a double-edged sword with that because sometimes, people use that as an excuse to just go out here and say crazy stuff or do wild things and be like, oh, that's just a character. That's just, that's just the artist. That's just a brand. But people are still watching and people are still judging you based on who you are, whether in your mind, like that's just a character, that's just an artist or anything, right? It's kind of like Hollywood, like just this fantasy world that we create in a land of our imagination, and we can explore and we can be free in that place. But at some point, we still got to get back to reality. I feel like for me, as of lately, I've been more intentional about making sure that I show up as my full authentic self, whether I'm the businessman, whether I'm the artist, whatever hat I'm wearing. It's still some core values and principles that cannot change. And I think that's what's important. Like what Celena was just saying, like knowing who you are as a person, like what does that character represent? In spite of knowing that you probably gotta like put on a show, right? Because we all put on a show and we need the bells and whistles and we put different outfits on and, we change. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to go to sleep peacefully at night. And I think that's what's important. So if you're doing things that's preventing you from going to sleep peacefully at night, then that shows you that, maybe some of your actions or behaviors are not aligned with your values. And I think that's what's important when we talk about the art of separation, because we still got to have that solid base, that solid foundation.
Yeah, I mean, aside from artistry, when I started doing community work, I lived that double life where it's like, okay, when I'm in this professional mode, everything outside of this box right here, it can't be allowed in. I can't go somewhere smelling like I just came from outside, So having to put on a facade, not just for like on the other side where you say like, oh, we got to go do wild stuff. Like the wild stuff was my lifestyle. That was what I was used to. That was normal. The unnormal stuff was the stuff I had to get used to, where I'm sitting in front of other CEOs, where I'm meeting with mayors and I'm doing these presentations. And now I have to articulate things a different way. I'm saying the same exact thing that I usually say, whether I'm talking to a kid or I'm outside or I'm hustling or whatever. I just have to articulate it a different way. And now that I'm into the artistry, I had to embody that. Like when you ask, like, do I separate DJ from DJ? No, I can't. When I got baptized, it was like one of those things where it was for me. It was for me to really understand what it was, and that's my faith walk. And that's personal, but it's also reflected in my music. I made sure that I kept it together, So I surround myself with other artists. I'll go hang out with Celena. I'll talk to other Christian artists who are doing this work to get a better understanding of what they're doing. So then I can go home and be comfortable. To your point, I didn't want the facade. I didn't want people looking at me. And they still play with my title. When I tell them I'm doing Christian hip hop, when I tell them, and I switched it, it's crazy you said ministry. I say I do street ministry. I take what I know and I explain it a certain way through my music. I explain it a certain way through my interviews because I have to, because people are viewing me as that person 24/7. So,
back in the day when artists used to quote try to do what is called making it, they would have to kind of like forsake their regular lifestyles, their everyday lifestyles, and even have to move to. Back then, it was one of two locations. It was either New York or it was L.A., you feel me, to try to get on or whatever. And, they would stand in line for these auditions. And then they had to be out there for a while in order to make sure that they was consistent in what they was trying to achieve. Back in the day, they called them starving artists. And it was like, yo, you if you want to make it in Hollywood, you got to give up everything where you live, move out here and shoot for this dream. And a lot of parents back then, they wasn't having that. It was work that's got to be done around the house. Yeah. So when we come back on this next segment, I want to be able to talk about that because we in the digital age now. And music can be made around the world. You can make music in your basement right now and put it in a movie in Hollywood. But I kind of want to talk about that just from a different standpoint, a different perspective. I want to share some of my experience, and I want to talk about it from your experience because I think we can tie two different generations together when it comes to the economics of the music industry. It's your man, Mr. Dean, and you're listening to Holy Culture Radio, the Man Up Club presents. Yo, what up? It's your man, Mr. Dean. You're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio, and we going deep. I got my man Lewiee Blaze, Celena, Lena, and my man Dijai, all prolific artists based in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, holding it down. Listen, we jumping into it. I just really want to know, we left off with the segment. I want to know how you balance your 9 to 5 in being an artist. We talked about, what it takes, back in the day when you had to basically forsake everything and basically take this trip, hop on the bus, wave to your parents and everybody by and say, hey, I'm going out here to shoot for this dream. And a lot of times they would be like, you're going to give up your 9 to 5 to go out there for a pipe dream. You're going to come back broke. You're going to be poor or whatever. And a lot of people back then wanted to make sure that you got your education before you went to pursue your career. No, not your career, your dream. And they always said, hey, why don't you make sure you go get a degree so that if it doesn't work out there in Hollywood while you're shooting for your dreams, at least you won't fall flat on your face and you'll have something to fall back on. Question to y'all is, how do you balance a 9 to 5 and be an artist? Like, just keep it 100 with the people. Anybody?
Yeah. I think it takes discipline and also thinking outside the box, right? Because we get into these boxes to be like 9 to 5 and like, we only got this certain amount of time. But I look at it from like, we get 158 hours a week. Right? A full-time job is what, 40 hours, right? So then you still got 118 hours left. You got enough time to get your, 56 hours of sleep, 8 per day or whatever. You still got like 60, 70 hours to put into whatever it is you need to put into, whether that's family, whether that's your dream, right? So when I was working a 9 to 5, I make sure that I showed up for work and I did what I needed to do to take care of my bills and have an exceptional lifestyle. However, everything else that I was making was going right into my dream. It was going right into me going back into the studio. It was invested into opportunities to maybe perform or saving up to take a trip or do something. So it's just about that discipline and the financial literacy to understanding, like, whatever resources you have, if this is your dream, you have to be able to invest into yourself. Because I remember, like, I kind of, like, was at a point in my artistry, I felt like I needed somebody to, like, invest into me or, like, put me on or something like that. And I realized, like, hold on, God probably ain't sending that person to me because he's creating a different path for me. I got to build character, and I got to understand that, it costs to be the boss. So, yeah. Just, discipline and time management and financial literacy, and you can balance a 9 to 5 and pursue your dreams. Almost everybody do it.
Yeah. For me, it was I believed in myself. I came in confident, Mr. D. I was like, I could rap. But when I went to work and the kids was like, oh, DJ, you could rap, like, you could do it. It's a big difference between me believing in myself and other people believing in me. So for me, my balance as my 9 to 5 was literally explaining what I'm doing to them during that time. So I'll take time out my day. It's 70 kids, Mr. Dean. It's 40-some boys. I will take time to talk to them. My 9 to 5 isn't over at 5 o'clock. I still get 3 a.m. phone calls from young people just to talk because they can't sleep, because they overthinking school tomorrow. They talking about a test. They going through something traumatic. So they still call me. And the only way that I can help them is to be vulnerable, is to be transparent and let them know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And by doing that, they started believing in me too. You believed in me too, Mr. D, and I ain't gonna lie. First show, Lewiee, I don't know if you know, he stopped my whole performance and had the whole crowd pray for me. And it made me, I was conflicted because, as an artist, I'm like, don't stop the show to pray for me. I'm here to perform, Mr. D. And he put his hand on my head, Lewiee. I ain't never had
Yeah,
that time. He put his hand on my head, Lou. And I was like, what you doing, Mr. D? But that level of belief that he had for me to be on that stage and really push myself, I didn't even know what that was. I never had nobody really push me that far as an artist and then coach me through the process on the stage. And then it tied into the 9 to 5 because we met working. We met doing the work for the young men, talking about healing trauma. Shout out Miss Vanessa. So, yeah, it's a balance.
For sure. So You want to go, Selena?
No, I didn't have
okay,
to.
No, okay, cool.
I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah,
Go
because
ahead.
we got a few minutes left, and I want to take y'all. A little bit deeper. I want to talk about controversy. I want to raise the roof. I want to raise people's eyebrow. I want to get people's blood pressure running a little bit. Y'all know what's going on with Diddy.
Yeah.
Y'all know the situation. About them saying that he, child molested kids and that he raped women and that he drugged celebrities and he got everything and everybody on tape. And, we saw the tape of how he abused Cassidy and beat her and kicked her in the hotel and bought the tapes and, the whole nine. Now he locked up and he in prison and this, that, and the other. And everybody's saying that he's Lucifer, he's Satan, he's a monster, and that he had been doing this stuff for, 20, 30 years or more. But here's where I'm going to take it. Yeah, he did all that stuff. My problem is I don't understand why everybody's acting like it's such a surprise though. And the reason I'm saying that is because people are like, oh, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe that he a monster. I can't believe, this, that, and the other. I didn't know he was. It's like, man, wait a minute, time out. What kind of world are we living in? Because at the end of the day, my position, and it's a controversial position, and I want y'all to holler back at me about it, whether you agree or disagree. But the whole hip hop music industry, with the exception of Christian hip hop artists and those who are kind of like you, Lewiee, who are doing conscious rap, the whole industry, pretty much 95% of the industry, is preaching everything that he did. It's talking about it. It's a forewarning. It was prophecy. Yeah. I don't understand why people are taken so aback and acting like they so surprised, because at the end of the day, he was only living his truth, and he's also living the truth of what the majority of rappers are talking about. So in other words, it's okay to talk about sex, money, murder, drugs, misogyny, killing people, molesting people, raping people. It's okay to put that message on the air for all the kids and for you to ride in the car with your grandmother and your mother and your daddy and for them to listen to it, and every other word is bleep, bleep, bleep. But when the cameras go off and the people who actually singing this are actually living the life and get caught for living what they singing, all of a sudden we get surprised and confused and don't know how they were doing all this stuff. Holler back at me. Yeah, exactly.
That's the same thing. Like I 100% agree with you. We shouldn't be so surprised, and also like just so many headlines that I've been seeing. That's like been the main thing that people are talking about, when it's so much more that we can be talking about and we can highlight. And I feel like it's always an underlying agenda meant to control and divide our people. And it's no difference from drill rappers, for example, who glorify this stuff, who rap about this stuff. You got the community cheering them on, and they playing all of this music. But then when somebody actually lose their life, right, or go to prison for murder for hire, like Lil Durk is right now, looking at life, looking at the death penalty, then everybody's shook. Everybody's like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. But like we gotta stop glorifying the lowest parts of our culture, and we got to start highlighting the excellent parts of our culture and bring that to the forefront.
I know that's right.
Yeah, I second that one. Like I said in the beginning, pushing positivity more, because to your point, it's not new. There's absolutely no way you could tell me for the last 30 years, for my whole life, this man been doing the same thing and nobody knew about it, but everybody was there. And that's one of the things that I see, especially with the Diddy stuff, where they're like, oh, yeah, we was there. We saw it. We knew what he was doing. But now it's relevant. You feel me? Now that they see us building together, and we had our downfalls as a community, but we united. It's almost to your point where it's like they want us to separate, focus on that, and not look at all of the other stuff that's going on in the world. Because around that same time, there's a lot of stuff going on just here, just with black people, just with the community, just with the culture, with politics. There's so much more going on that this distraction is so major for so many people because they don't want to focus on the rest of the world.
Talk about it.
Let me take it here. let me close it out with this because we ain't got a lot of time. And we talking about basically how your music shapes your reality.
Yeah.
And so we all live in reality, like and your music shapes your reality. And I want to close it with this. And each one of you guys can talk about it from your own perspective. But music has shaped your reality has shaped your music too.
Okay.
You talked about recently how you just lost your mom a couple years ago. I want you to talk about that and how that has shaped your reality or even your artistry or how you or how it's developed you personally. You not too long ago lost your grandmother, who raised you. I watched the shift and how it shaped your reality and also shaped your music. I want you to talk about that. You lost your father, who you was extremely close with. I want you to talk about the same thing. How has that developed you personally? How has that reality shaped your music, or what have you? I want to close out with that.
Yeah. I appreciate you for asking that. I'm gonna start off with a quote that says, "Freedom is finding a pause between a trigger and a response and making a choice." So this moment of life of losing my mother is the biggest traumatic experience I've ever endured, and I might ever endure. And what it did, it forced me to pause. Like everything in my world just froze and stopped, and it really forced me to focus on what's more important. Things like family, things like spending time with your loved ones, with my parents, with my grandparents, with my aunties, just family first and foremost. I feel like going out and pursuing this dream of becoming a rap star and everything, it's a lot of time that was lost where I just needed to be just my mom's son, like I just needed to be a big brother for my little brothers, but I'm out here like just focused on pursuing this dream and trying to get on so I could come back and bring something to the family and we all could eat, right? But I didn't realize that like the true proof of love is the amount of time that's invested. And it's a lot of time that I miss with that. So when that happened, I just been very more focused on family and yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Yeah, I really
We're gonna
respect
keep
that.
going. We're gonna keep
I
going.
really respect that a lot. And I love what you said about I'm gonna butcher what you said, but how you stated the correlation between love and time. I really appreciate that a lot. Yeah, when I lost my Lula, my Lula is everything to me. Like, and like you said, when I lost her, my eyes were open to just how fleeting life is and how you should just never, waste words and um what you're doing, the music that we're putting out, that's why it's so important to encourage people, spend time with your family, encourage people to pay attention to the good things that are happening. So, yeah, losing her was just like took me a step back to realize like, hey, like what I'm doing has got to be more serious and I got to come harder than I have before.
Yeah, and for me, it's simple. I had to step up. I lost my dad 3 months after becoming a dad. I had twins, and then right after that, my dad passed away. So that father figure that gave me all the tools that I needed to be a father, he just disappeared. I could hear him consciously, energy. I like to say it don't die. But at the same time, that physical aspect was gone, so I had to figure out how to compensate, and it took a whole organization and probably 100 mentors just to compensate for that one person. And to your point, Louis, it's not one of those. It's probably one of the most traumatic thing that I could go through, And I just came up on his 3-year anniversary, and I'm thinking to myself, like, ain't no way it's been 3 years. Like certain days it feel like yesterday, and then certain days it feel like I'm waking up and still going through that same process. So my music, my artistry is my escape. It's me facing, I wouldn't even say it escape. It's me facing the reality of what I'm doing now. Because my dad would be like, hey, I'm proud of you. I know what he would be telling me. He would be surprised, like the rest of the world is, as far as the lane that I took because of how I grew up, because of what I was exposed to. But at the same time, that level of pride that I know he would have for what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, I take that with the heaviest burden. You know, it's one of those weights that I gotta carry. My mom came to my show yesterday, so you know, like it's one of those. It's one of those.
I love that you said that, because like it does do that. Like it adds so much more fuel to the fire as well. Because now every single morning I get up, I pray more now. Like I'm thinking about my ancestors. I'm praying to my mom, and like the goal for that day is to make my people proud. You know, so it is most definitely like added to my work ethic as well, and my spirituality too.
Yeah.
And I think the lesson behind all of that is like time waits for no one. That's the one thing that we don't know that we got, is how much time we got. And the other thing is that life and death is in the power of the tongue, and you got the option to either speak life or death. So if you don't know how much time you got, but you know you got the power to speak life and death, it would probably be incumbent upon you to make sure that you're using the time that you know you have wisely to be able to speak life. And that's how we raise the hip-hop culture. It's your man, Mr. Dean, a.k.a. Cross. You're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. Tap in with us.